I'm not one to get onto bandwagons, but in light of the new pre-sequel to Die Hard called either Die Hard McClane or Die Hard Year One, depends if they want to go the Batman route or if they want to go the John McClane route. Either way, I have a list of names that they could possibly use. Ironically, this is actually a list of names that they should have used for all of the films, so let's start there, and I'm going to give a brief synopsis for each film. So this video is called Die Hard Sequel Names. That's not a catchy name. I'll come up with something better in post, I swear. So currently we've got, obviously, started off with Die Hard. Same as the original film, because the original film was perfect, you can't really change it. Same cast, same director, same everything. Literally the film you already have, except nothing has changed. It's the exact same film. It's not refilmed, it's just the same, just there. Die Hard, that's all. That's how you start. Because that's told everyone, and it is one of the best action films of all time. So, the sequel you call Die Harder. Now, technically, of course, Die Hard 2 is actually called Die Harder, but let's just call it Die Harder. Not even Die Hard 2 Die Harder, just Die Harder. So this is pretty much the original film, but it's played twice, and it just adds to the runtime, so it's literally the film twice over. So you're just watching Die Hard 1 twice, back to back. With the end credits as well. That could be like your intermission. Go to take a piss and get another bottle of Coke, and you're good. And you watch Die Hard again. That's pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't say no to that. That would be pretty fun. You know, you get all the same moments, and if you've never seen Die Hard before, then you get to watch Die Hard, and then you get to watch it again immediately in succession. It doesn't just stick in your mind. You know everything that's about to happen. You can have a lot of fun with it, like a lot of cult audiences do during cult films, for example, like The Room, throwing spoons, for example. You know, you just know what's going to happen, so you just enjoy it more. Then, of course, you have Die Hard with a Vengeance. Now, the name, yes, is the same, because it's just a bit... It's an interesting name. It gives you something, you know, a bit more punch, a bit more knack to it. The only difference is, it's the exact same film as Die Hard with a Vengeance, Samuel L. Jackson and everything, except that Hans appears as a ghost haunting John McClane, which gives a deeper emotional haunting value to the film. So as much as you still have Hans Gruber's brother, you also have the ghost of Hans Gruber haunting John McClane. So, like, as if this big event that happened in Die Hard 1 and Die Harder was just so traumatic to him that it's what's really caused his low point in life right now, his whole alcoholism, the fact that him and his wife are having problems, and killing the brother is a way for him to kind of release this tension and to know that as much as he did something wrong, it reevaluates the whole circumstance of I did it to save everyone, and I'm doing it again to save everyone. From a small point of the people in a tower to the big point of the people in the city and their money and capitalism and stuff. You know, that's what you need to save. And Samuel L. Jackson, you know, we always got to save him. Then you have Die Hard 4, Die Harder. Die Harder. Not called 4.0, not called Live Free or Die Hard, because we're not doing a social commentary this time. Yeah, sure, cyber terrorism is fun, but have you heard about cyber chasing? That's really cool. It's like John McClane goes inside a computer and has to relive Die Hard again, and it's all in a computer instead. So it's like when you're going through the DVD extras of Die Hard, and you can choose how they do like the different takes for a scene, and it kind of teaches you how to edit a scene. And it's pretty much that, except in a computer, and it's actually in a film, and you're actually watching it. So that's something. Next we have Die Hardest, where McClane pins his daughter and his son against each other in an arena, it's an arena recreation of Die Hard in the tower. You get what I see? Because Die Hard is so good that why not just keep making the same fucking film? So, of course, Die Harder is, you know, one and one put back together twice. as much as Die Hard with Vengeance is something different, it still recalls a lot back to Die Hard 1. And then, of course, Die Harder is just Die Hard 1 again, but it's a simulation instead. And then, of course, Die Hardest, it's McClane's gone fucking insane, and now he wants to put his daughter against his son. Probably not cast by Jai Courtney, probably someone else. Maybe Dolph Lundgren. Yeah, Dolph Lundgren. Lundgren. I don't know how to pronounce his surname. But he would be pretty good as McClane's son. He's only 20 years older than him, 30 years older than him. Who cares? He was in Rocky. That'd be pretty cool. And so you just have him against... No, I mean, I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead, but we got to get someone else. Sarah Jessica Parker. Because there's no such thing as beating a dead horse. Hey. And of course, they fight in this arena that is the tower from the first film. Except McClane is controlling it because it is also a simulation, because he figured out in the third film how to make the simulation in the fourth film, how to make the simulation for himself. And so he puts his son and his daughter, and whoever wins becomes the new John McClane. They just turn into him. Like, as if they're a Pokemon evolving, They just turn into him. Even if it's Sarah Jessica Parker, she just morphs into John McClane. That'd be pretty cool. The special effects would be okay by this stage, because this is 2010? Because you get a new film every 2 to 3 years, and of course then you got to account for the whole 9/11 stuff, so yeah, 2010. Then you have in 2015, now no, it's been 5 years, you're thinking, where the fuck has this Die Hard sequel been? I've been looking for it forever. Well, then you get Die Hard McClane, and it's just Die Hard McClane with an exclamation mark. No colons, no nothing, just a fucking exclamation mark. It's in your face. They're just like, fucking Die Hard McClane. They would put it as fucking Die Hard McClane, but that would, if you put a comma in, that would be kind of weird. And if you took out Die Hard, it would be weird. And also, it's meant to be rated M or PG-13 in America, so, you got to get your audiences there. It can't just be complete, full-on grit. Which is disappointing. There has to be a PG-13, but, corporations need their money. So this one is a dramatic pre-sequel that explores John as he's trained in the Force and when he meets his soon-to-be wife. But it also flashes forward 30 years later to where him and his wife are going through a divorce, and he's going into retirement from being in the police force, because he's kind of realized that the amount of fucking times he's been a cop, he's just been fighting big bad guys, and it's been a bit too like an American blockbuster, literally has this meta presentation. He doesn't fight anyone in this film. Technically, it's him fighting his demons, in this case being how he's kind of a dick to his wife. So there's that, so they got the divorce, and the film ends with him having successfully retired, and him and his wife are now separated. Now, it doesn't mention the children, mostly because, well, they're 30 now, so it doesn't really matter, because they're not a part of the divorce. That is, for whichever one survived, Die Hardest? Whatever the film was called. Then, of course, you get the second to final, just called Just Die ... Hard! Exclamation mark. Very dramatic. This one is presented as the new nightmare, so Wes Craven's new nightmare of Die Hard films. The idea being is that Bruce Willis is given a script for another Die Hard sequel, but he rejects it because he only wants to do small roles that give him enough pay to pay off, that stuff that he really needs to pay off. And also, so it doesn't mean he really has to act. He can just kind of sleep through his roles, which is very comparative to real life right now, because that's kind of what he's doing. I don't know if I want to hammer that joke on the head by saying that and kind of explaining it, but some people don't realize that. I mean, you watched Glass, right? So, of course, you know exactly what you're going to get. It's just going to be that kind of a performance. So he only wants to be in these B-grade action movies, like Once Upon a Time in Venice, where he's in it for 20 minutes. But his face is on the cover because it's Bruce Willis, and it's a selling point. He becomes hunted, literally hunted, by the producers in a very Predator-esque style. I don't know why. I mean, Fox doesn't really exist by this stage, but Disney kind of owns Predator and Die Hard, so technically they have the legal rights. I mean, they would have had the legal rights anyway if Fox still was alive. So technically, they have the producers would have the legal rights to steal the costumes from the set of the Predator 2 Electric Fuckaloo, because we suck shit, because the Predator did so well, which is a low budget version of the Predator, and so they steal the costumes, and now they're dressed up as the Predators. So he's hunted by the producers, in an attempt for them to clone his body before killing him. Like, they want to take his DNA, clone him, then kill him, so like he can't live to tell the tale. But in a twist of fate, he defeats all the producers. And then decides to flee the country, because he's like, fuck these guys, they're just going to come after me again, I'm getting the fuck out of here. So he does, he leaves the country after killing all the producers, miraculously, because of what he's learned from playing John McClane. He kind of starts talking to himself as if he is John McClane. At one stage, he's in the costume department, and he puts on a wig that is the same hairstyle he had during Die Hard. Yeah, I'd say Die Hard with a Vengeance. He's not bald yet in that one. But then he looks in the mirror and thinks to himself, this is a bit too fanfare-y. Then he takes it off and he's like, I got to embrace who I am. So then he flees the country, and that's the end of the movie. Easy as that. See? Simple. But in a post-credit scene, we see a computer monitor with the Word document, a Word document, open with the title Return to Die Hard Land. Because obviously whoever's writing this script is amateur as fuck, because they're using a Word document instead of an actual script writing program. And then an email flashes on screen, like Microsoft Outlook, just like flashes on screen as if you've got a virus. It says that with a message titled, "We've got the DNA." That's the topic. That's the title of the email, because they're not being very careful about it. And of course, you've got to make it obvious for the audience so they know what's going on. So you obviously get the idea that, there's going to be another Die Hard movie called Return to Die Hard Land, and they've cloned John McClane. They've cloned Bruce Willis. So they're going to make another Die Hard movie. Then, 15 years later, this is 2030, out of the blue, Die Hard Land. What the hell happens in this movie? Okay, so because of course not John McClane, but in this case, Bruce Willis is getting kind of old. He doesn't like to admit it, but you can't really also notice because he's bald. So, But in this case, this is 15 years later, so they've got his DNA from when he was 50-something, maybe, and now he's in his 70s. So it's 70-year-old John McClane. And this is the final film in the franchise, because he's 70 years old. Like, Sylvester Stallone is almost that age. That's why he's retiring from acting. Like, it's a bit fucked up to do action films post that age, It's like, So, in this film, John McClane is working as a security guard for an amusement park, as his retirement from the force got pretty boring. I mean, you retire at the age of 50, of course you're going to get bored within the next 15, 20 years. Or maybe he retired at the age of 60. It doesn't really matter, either way. One day, he sends tickets to his family so they can get a free day at the park. So this is his wife and his kid or kids. I don't really know. You got to work out the specifics as to, did that previous Die Hard film where he put his son and daughter against each other, does that actually work? I don't know. Maybe it was them trying to make a soft reboot and then it kind of failed, so then they decided to go the drama element instead, and now they're just kind of yeah, fuck that film. It was a bit too much. Let's kind of go back to the drawing board and make this both a personal family drama, but also still an action film. So of course, he sends his tickets to his family as a way of making amends. He wants to catch up with them. He knows that they won't talk to him. So he just does it for the hell of it, because he's like, I can afford it. money-wise, I can afford it. I might as well try to get them to come here so then we can talk. We can, have a day at the park. At least if it's one good last day together, it's one good last day together. If not, it's one last bad day together and he knows never to contact them again. However it turns out. Randomly, terrorists arrive at a theme park. And McClane fights them off in an attempt to save his family, who did arrive and didn't actually know who sent them the ticket because McClane forgot to write his name on it, also thinking that they'd ignore it if he did put his name on it. So whether he forgot or not is a completely different. It doesn't really matter. So his family's there. His family's there in the theme park. They're having a day on themselves. They're kind of confused as to how they got it. They think it maybe they wanted some kind of lottery, but they're also like, but we didn't enter a lottery, that kind of cliche. And then, of course, the terrorists arrive. They start shooting up the place. They lock the whole place down. Turns out all the security guards, except for McClane, because this was meant to be his day off, so he could hang out with his family, are actually terrorists. I don't give a fuck about what their nationality is. Like, it's America. By this stage, there'll be a new form of terrorist. Maybe they're all robots. Yeah, that's actually a better idea. They're all robots of different kinds of people. Maybe one's Russian, maybe one's American, maybe one is German, maybe it's all just a callback to the previous films. Maybe they're all just German, I don't know. Who cares, really? They're all robots. Their accents don't really matter. So the terrorists arrive, McClane figures out that something's wrong, and so he fights them, pretty much because they start shooting up the place and, stealing people's money and shit and then killing them and whatever. I don't really know if they do it for a hostage reason or whatever, or if there's something special in this theme park. Maybe there's a really rare animatronic or prop there, like it's Disney World or something. And they really want this one prop because they know it will cost a lot. So they decide to put the whole place hostage instead of just doing a heist. I don't know. Why not, And it kind of makes it more of a chaotic mess because there's so many people at a theme park that big. So it just makes it more of a exciting viewing experience. So he has to fight them off to save his family until it is revealed that it was all a delusion formed by PTSD and McClane is actually in a psych ward. Twist! This film was directed by M. Night Shyamalan. So he's actually in an old person's home, and he actually, in this shot, it just kind of cuts randomly from whatever the fuck is happening. I don't know, maybe it's like the main terrorist has got his wife at gunpoint like Hans Gruber, and it's kind of flashing back to that, like literally flashing to it, in such a perfect juxtaposition of how the shot is done. And like McClane's like, wait, what the fuck's going on? This is too familiar. And then it cuts back to him, and he's like, what's going on? And then it cuts to him, he's in a completely different room. You don't know where he is. He's in a different costume. He's got a big beard. He kind of looks a bit fucked in the head. And then it goes from behind him and reveals he's been watching Die Hard all along. Second twist. Well, actually, he wasn't actually watching Die Hard all along, but he was watching Wheel of Fortune, but there was an ad for Die Hard coming on the TV, because they made a movie based on what happened at the Tacoma Plaza TV. I don't know, whether it's actually Die Hard or whether this is Bruce Willis, and he's watching, and he's in an old person's home, is up to the writer of the film, Okay, sorry, I'm wrong. They could do it like this, where it actually is John McClane and they've got a trailer for Die Hard, but then they go back to the next question in the show, because of course it was just a trailer during an ad, having all these things kind of being like, oh, it's the 30th anniversary of this event, or 50th anniversary of this event, and they've kind of made it like a film that commemorated it some time ago. So, like, it's a film based on the story of John McClane in the film universe of Die Hard. So it kind of gets a little meta. And so it goes back to Wheel of Fortune. And the question that they're asking is, named a building that was robbed by German terrorists in the 80s. McClane smiles, fade to black. And those are the Die Hard sequels that I've thought of. So, copyright Julian, copyright Telecreations, there we go. Don't have to say my name. Telecreations. If you think that these could have been done better, fucked if I care. If you like Die Hard, good for you. I like them too. Except for the fifth one, but I haven't actually watched it, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. So, let's hope that if they do make this John McClane Die Hard movie, whatever it's called, if it's called Die Hard McClane or if it's called Die Hard Year One, which sounds really stupid. Like, seriously, like, even Bruce Willis wants to retire the character. So, like, having it called Year One just sounds a bit dull. And, like, a pre-sequel is just like, yeah, nah. So, yeah, I don't really care what happens with these films in the future because the first four are really good. So, yeah. Cool. If you like this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more. If you want any more of these kind of videos where I kind of just go on a tangent about renaming franchises, which, I mean, could be fun. I like this one. I think I went a little overboard in explaining that final film. I did write down a lot of detail. Yeah. Cool. Bye. Thanks for watching this. How long did this video go for? I think it went for 20 minutes. Yeah. Cool.